All right, all right, all right. All right. All right. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, let's get it. All right, all right. Can't play too much of it because you Instagram might shut me down. They might shut me down. But anyway, what we talking about tonight? All right, so tonight we're gonna talk about part two of why we need to communicate our needs. If you missed part one, go back on my Instagram or my YouTube or my Facebook and you can catch part one. You cannot catch part one on TikTok, they don't allow that. But you can catch it on my YouTube. Oh, and it was good, y'all. I talked about why communicating your needs is important last night. But tonight, I'm going to talk about how do you do it? How do you do it when you're not used to doing it? How do you share your needs? How do you talk about your needs when you're not used to doing it? And so tonight we're going to talk about how you set it up. I'm going to give you some practical tips and I'm going to give you some things. Um, and somebody says, I got questions to ask. People always ask me questions, and tonight we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about questions. But okay, I get it. I'm near my limit. All right, I knew YouTube was coming, Instagram was coming with that. But most people, 98% of people, are poor communicators. And that includes you, most of you. And some of you might think that you are a good communicator. And I'm going to show you tonight that you're probably not. All right. But it can all be changed because I used to be a poor communicator, which almost cost me my marriage. Which almost cost me my marriage. And so tonight, I am going to give you some techniques on how. And so a lot of people, oh, thank you. You love me and my wife. You know, we love you too. We appreciate you. And so tonight, I'm going to talk about that. But before I get into talking about communicating your needs, I would like for you to tell me your name and where you're checking in from, what city, because you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me tonight. And I want to properly acknowledge you. So, your first name and where you're checking in from. We got Sandra. Sandra from Florida in the building. All right, we got Yolanda from Champaign, Illinois in the building. All right, we got with Jean from Atlanta in the building. We got Jan from New York City or New York. Denise from Chicago. Nessa from the UK. Bella, Bella from North Carolina, my little Bella. Sandra from Texas. We got Michelle from California in a building. Tawana from Glen, Virginia, Rutherford Glen, Virginia in the building. Messiah from Atlanta. Yvonne from Bermuda, welcome. What's that? Kizzy from Guyana. That's Kizzy from Guyana. All right, thank you. Who else we got in the building? Because I really want to acknowledge you. Because again, you could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with me tonight. And I promise y'all, let me tell y'all something. You ever notice I don't come on every night? I try to get on 2 to 3 times a week. But when I come on, y'all, I want you to learn something. If you listen, you are going to learn something. That's why don't ever come to my class without bringing a notepad. Don't ever come to my class without notes, taking notes. Oh, it's Ghana. I'm sorry. Not Guyana. Forgive me. All right. Notice women are in here. Why is it men rarely want to get info? No, there's some men that come, but somebody just made a comment, y'all, that men are rarely in here. So here's what you don't know. Men hit me in my DM. They hit me in private messages. Men, 40% of my clients now are men because men want to be better, but they don't do it in big crowds like this, but they do listen. You ever notice my message, y'all, is not about bashing one part or one gender or another, one group or mine is about all of us leveling up. And most of the strategies that I teach you, it is based on everybody leveling up. The strategies that I teach you are universal. And so that being said, they are interchangeable. And that's the way I want it. All right. And so I don't care if 10 people are here. So I got all these platforms up. I got YouTube, Facebook, I got Instagram, and I got TikTok. And y'all, sometimes as a creator, content creator, I used to get upset if there were only 5 people on my lives when I first started, right? But someone told me something that was so powerful. Someone said, Coach Ken, it is not about the number of people that you have that are on any given live or that listen to you. It is the impact that you are having on people's lives. And since then, that was 4 years ago. Since then, I don't care if one person shows up. If one person shows up, then that one person will benefit. You didn't say my name. Lady T, I'm sorry. From the A in the building. Forgive me, Lady T. I got all these things scrolling up at the right time. Lady T in the building from the A. All right, y'all. So let's get busy. Let me see how many I got over there. I got over here. Okay, everybody's here. All right. So if y'all would on TikTok, give me some hearts. If you're on Instagram, give me some hearts. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about communication. But the first thing I want to tell y'all something. I'm gonna talk about communication in a different way because for me, I am a communications expert now. And I wasn't at one point. I almost lost my marriage because I was a poor communicator. My wife was a poor communicator. And so the thing is that I realized after I saved my marriage, I realized that I wasn't a good communicator. I thought that because I said it, because I was willing to say what was on my mind, I was a good communicator. But I didn't realize there were 2 parts to communication. There was the sender, and then there was the receiver receiving my message. And I would send the message. I would be like a bull in a china cabinet, sending my message to my wife. But she grew up in an environment where when somebody would talk loud, I grew up where we talked loud in my family, she would shut down. And so the message that I was attempting to get across to her, she didn't receive it. And so the communication that I thought I was doing, the job I thought I was doing was not effective. And so I learned how to be an effective communicator, whether I'm in the workplace, whether I'm talking to my team, whether I am talking to my wife or my children. I have devoted myself to being an effective communicator. And here's why. Because years ago, I had a need in my relationship. My wife had a need, but neither one of us knew how to express the need that we were having. I needed her to do a certain thing or be a certain way. But because I didn't know how to communicate it effectively, I only communicated it when I got mad. How many of you listening to me, you keep it in, you have a need or you have an expectation of your partner, but you don't want to communicate it for whatever reason. Either you want to start an argument, you don't know how to say it, or you're worried about how they're going to respond. You don't say it. And then what happens is then you resent the other person for not knowing what you're thinking. How many of y'all know I'm telling the truth? I'm stepping on some toes tonight. And then what you do is you let it go on and on and on. And then let me tell you what happens. The more you let it go on, then you start to resent the other person. You start to resent them because they're not meeting your need or expectation. And they're not ready because they will never know what the expectation is because you haven't shared it with them. And so the more they don't meet it, the deeper you go in resentment. And then you start resenting them. Then you start resenting the relationship. Then you start resenting yourself for staying in the relationship. Ooh-wee. Coach, you about to get on fire. And so I realized that most relationships could be solved if I taught people how to communicate better. And that's how I became a coach. Y'all, years ago, and I've saved so many relationships because I got good at communicating. And so yesterday I talked about why it's important to communicate your needs or expectation. And tonight I want to talk about how you do it. How you do it. Thank you, Ariane. What's that? Ariane from Brazil. Thank you for joining me. All right. Now, so first off, I need you to understand the number one reason relationships fail. Now, the number one reason, be it romantic relationships or non-romantic relationships, is because of uncommunicated expectation and needs. You have a need, you have an expectation, and then you don't say it. Or if you do say it, you say it where you offend your partner, you say it aggressively, or you say it in a way where the partner feels they are attacked. What the partner feels they are being attacked, and now the message still doesn't get across. And so I want to deal with something. I want to tell you something. Someone just made a comment and they said, what if, I want y'all to hear this. They said, what to do when your partner gets offended when you tell them? And so I want you to understand something. If a person is getting offended with you saying what it is you're saying, more than likely, you don't know how to convey it. More than likely, you don't know. Now, I'm not saying there are going to be sometimes, no matter what the way you say it, the person might take offense to it. But more often than not, the reason people take offense to it is because you don't know how to communicate it. And so I'm going to talk about how. And so a lot of you have, and you might be talking to your mom, you might be talking to your children, you might be talking to a coworker. And how many times, y'all, when you wanted to say something, but because you were not aware of how to say it, you were not aware of how to say it. So what you did was you just did. And so tonight, Coach is going to give you what we call a framework. A framework is a step-by-step method to communicate any need you have. So let's get started. The first thing that you got to understand, though, you got to understand that men and women communicate differently. They communicate differently. And so you have to know this difference before you attempt to communicate something. You see, men communicate most times, they use communication to convey information. They use communication to convey information, solve problems, or to achieve a specific goal. Now, notice what I said. Men normally communicate in a way to, use communication to convey information, solve a problem, or achieve a goal. Now, check this out. If you don't believe me, sit in on a conversation with me. They're gonna convey information like if they sit and watching the game. They're gonna convey information about the team that they're looking towards, or they're gonna want to achieve a specific goal. They want their team to win, or they're trying to get a specific goal done, solve a problem. And so that is the crux of the way a man communicates. And so I'm not saying that he doesn't communicate, because a lot of women say, well, he ain't emotional. And see, you got to understand the way his mind is trained to communicate, convey information, solve a problem, or achieve a goal. Okay? Now watch this. Women, on the other hand, they use communication to build a relationship. And I wrote this down: express emotions and foster a connection. Now think about what I said. Women communicate for the most part, not everyone, but for the most part. They want to build a relationship. They want to express how they feel, their emotion, or they want to foster a connection. All right? Now, I want you to think about it from this perspective. If both of us, hey, Pofo, I like Popo. I watch him all the time. Hey, keep up the good work, man. I'll be on your page all the time. I hope you're feeling better, my friend. So if men and women communicate differently, right? So if a man is communicating with you because he wants to solve a problem, he wants to achieve a goal, or he wants to convey information, then you got to understand something. If you are trying to express your emotion, then what you have to do, and this is what a lot of people don't do, is you have to tell him your objective. And so here's the thing. If your objective, if you come home and you tell the man all about what happened to you at work. You know what? My boss and them, they're not treating me right. My boss and them, they promoted someone over me. So the man's objective, remember, his mindset is to solve this problem. Okay, all right, what do you want to do? Do you want to quit? Do you want to look for another job? And you're thinking, what? Because his mind is wired to think that way. But you simply want to express your feelings. You just want to dump. You just want to get it all out. But he is unaware that that's what you want to do. He's unaware that that's what you want to do. And so the first thing you got to understand when you're in a relationship is that men and women communicate differently. Doesn't mean that the way he communicates is better, the way she communicates is better. It's just different. And understanding that is the premise, is the backdrop, the foundation of the way that I'm going to tell you to get your needs met tonight. Whether you're a man or a woman, communicating to get your needs met Whenever you're able to communicate to get your needs met, your relationship is going to be far better. So the first thing you got to do is, number one, you got to tell your partner where you want to end up. You got to tell your partner where you want to go. And here's how it works. First thing you say, hey, you know what I like to do? I want us to communicate better. I want us to be able to express ourselves in a way where I hear you and you hear me. I would like for us to be able to share and everything about each other, our feelings without judgment. Notice what I just did. The first step is tell your partner where you want to go. Because my logical mind, if the man's logical mind says, okay, I have a goal. I know we're going to end up. The woman's mind is we're going to discuss our emotions along the way. We're going to build a better relationship. We're going to connect. See, so both of their minds, their goal is met at step one. Step one is you tell the person where you want to end up. Here's what I want. I want us at the end of this conversation, I want us to be better communicators. I want us to spend more time together. I want us to talk about what we feel in quality time is. And at the end of the conversation, I want us to have a better understanding of each other. This is called framing a conversation. It's called framing a conversation. And so here's how you frame a conversation. Step one, you tell the person what you want. Framing a conversation is simply this. Hey, you tell the person, I specifically like to talk about this. I like to talk about quality time. And then you say at the end of the conversation where we're headed, I want us to have a better understanding of the other person. That's step one. You frame the conversation by telling the person where you want to go. Does that make sense, y'all? Because you ever been around, y'all know. Y'all know. How many times have you got in a conversation and then the conversation ended up somewhere else? The conversation ended up, you started off with one thing. And then the next thing is you start off with one thing, and then the next thing you know is you're talking about, well, you did this and you did that, and your mama didn't come over. You went over your mama's house on Thanksgiving, and you supposed to be with the family. Y'all ever notice how that works? Well, when you frame the conversation, and say, hey, I like to talk about blank specifically. I like to talk about what quality time means to you. Specific thing. I like to talk about our conversation last Thursday about what we're going to do Valentine's Day. I like to specifically. And then what you say is, by the end of the conversation, you tell them where you want to go. By the end of the conversation, I want us to be on the same page. Y'all, if you do this, I promise you, your conversations will be different. Step one, that is step one. All right. Step two. First step is you frame the conversation and you tell the person where you want to go. Step two, you ask them, when can we do this? Is that all right with you? Because when you tell them where you want to go, you say, is that all right with you? When would you be able to set a time aside to talk about this? You know why this is important? See, this is the little known step that a lot of people don't do. Why this step is important? Because you ever notice how when you want to tell somebody something, what you just break into what you want to say? You know what? I want to talk about the person is doing something else. The person is working at work. Look, why you don't never take out the trash? Or why you don't do this? You just launch into the conversation, and then the other person is caught off guard. So the reason why you ask their permission to have the conversation. That's step two. Ask their permission to have the conversation. When you ask the permission and the person says yes, here's what's happening. The person has agreed to exchange their and energy, time, energy, and attention for something you have to say. Because if you don't ask for it, the person is not agreeing to exchange time, energy, their time, energy, and attention for what you have to say. So I asked my wife not too long ago, I said, can we talk about this particular thing? Is that all right with you? She says, okay, I'm gonna get back. We can talk in about an hour. I got an appointment right now. And then what she did was she set aside the time. Ooh, that's powerful, y'all. Yes, this live will be saved. It will be saved on Instagram, um, Facebook, and YouTube, not TikTok, because TikTok won't allow me to do it. All right. So that's step two. Now, y'all follow the steps because what's going to happen is a lot of us have not been used to communicating the way that I'm teaching you. You've not been used to communicating that way. You've been doing it the way you've been doing it. So the other person, when you begin communicating differently like this, the other person is going to be like, what's going on with you? What's going what's up with you? Because they never heard you. They never heard you communicate that way. They're going to think that it's not real. And so here's how you know it's real. So step three, you is this is you state the need you have. You state the expectation you have using I language. This is the most powerful thing ever. You state, write this down, y'all. You state your need or expectation using I language. Let me explain. The difference between I language and you language. Don't you hate it when somebody says, you need to do this, or you did this, or you did that, or you won't commit to me, or you don't want to spend no time with me, or you don't this, you don't that. Y'all ever been that way? Y'all ever seen that? Yeah, because some of y'all have done this. Some of y'all are the perpetrators of the you statements. And so I teach my relationship academy people. I said, you can say anything. I said, it is your responsibility to communicate what you're feeling. You only have 3 rules. Write these rules down. 3 rules. And I'm going to show you how I language meets every rule. Number 1, it cannot be aggressive. If your tone is aggressive, if the other person believes you are aggressive, you are aggressive. No, and I'm gonna show you how to overcome that. Number 2, it cannot be combative. Now, you might say, Coach, what's the difference between combative and aggressive? Okay, aggressive is a forceful nature of communication. Combative meaning it is a constant differing of opinion. Combative mean if I say the sky is blue, you gonna say it's green. And if I say it's cold, you gonna say it's hot. That means you're in constant disagreement with me. That's combative. And then the third rule is you must communicate it where the other person understands. You must articulate your message where the other person understands your intended message. Okay, your intended message. Yeah. So I had a client. So let me give you one of my clients. This was a real scenario, y'all. Real scenario. So my client, she had been dating a guy, and she was like, I'm tired of this, coach. I'm tired. I want a relationship. I want a relationship. I don't want to just be, F buddies. I don't want to be sex buddies. I am tired of this. And I want a relationship. And I said, have you ever approached him before? She was like, yeah, I told him, what you gonna do? And I said, how'd that go? How'd that work for you? She's like, it didn't. He got mad, I got mad. And I said, okay. I said, we're going to change the way you communicate. And you can communicate anything using I language. So here's what I told her. I said, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the focus off of them. Take the focus off of the other person. Hey, Melvin, what's up from Texas? Thank you for joining me. You're going to take the focus off of the other person and you're going to put the focus on you. Here's how you do that. You say, you know what? I have been reflecting on what I want in my relationship. And I've decided, I want a committed relationship. And I realized that a committed relationship is in alignment with my values. And I want to be with someone who wants the same thing that I want. I love this relationship. I love the way we spend time together, but it's important for me to be in a relationship that is in alignment with me. And so that's what I want to pursue. She said that, he said, and she said, I understand if that is something that you're not interested in. But as for me, I've got to pursue the things that are in alignment with me. And he was like, now notice the way that I said that. I did not accuse you of anything. I told her, no, you're not accusing him of anything. You're not saying anything negative. You're not attacking him. You're not combative. You're not aggressive. And you've articulated your message, the 3 rules. And he was like, well, go about your business then. He didn't say it like that, but he said, well, I understand. You got to go on. But check out what happened though. And she walked away from the relationship. But about 2 weeks later, he called her back and he said, I was thinking about what you said. And the way you said it, I was like, wow, she's serious about this. And do you know, they're together. She got the ring. They're going to be married next spring in March. And y'all, I'm not saying that that's going to be everybody's story. But what I am saying is you can communicate anything. Because how many times when you want to know where the relationship is going, you don't know how to have that conversation, do you? She didn't either. And when I taught her how to state her need or expectation using I language, she said that was a game changer. A game changer. Wow. And so, y'all, here's the thing. And so this is the 4th step. Step 4. You communicate it. Thank you, Rosalind, for writing them down for me. And you communicate using the I language. And number 4, step 4 is you tell them why it's important to you. Yeah. I am doing this. I need this. I need this because I need someone who is in alignment with me because I have dated people in the past who weren't, and it is not good for me emotionally. See, a lot of times, y'all, we just tell a person what it is we want, but we don't ever tell them why we want it. Wow, that's deep, coach. Let me say that again. We will tell somebody sometimes what we want, but we won't tell them why we want it. There was a study done. Listen to me carefully. There was a study done years ago. And the study, they had 100 people in line. And here was the study. They would walk up to people and they said, and just a random person would walk up to the people and say, can I break in line? Can I break in line? And they said 79% of the people said, no, you can't break in line. They never offered any reason. They did the exact same study, but the participants, they asked them, they gave a reason why they wanted to cut, to break in line. And so here's what happens. So what happened was, do you know, they said, hey, can I break in line? I've got to pick up my kid at 3:00. And I just need to get in front of you. Do you know how many people said yes? Yeah, 72%. 72% that are banned in the bookshelf. Yeah, it's a curved bookshelf. It is. And so, y'all, what step 4 is, you tell them why you need it. Now, this is powerful. And I'm going to tell you something. and I'm gonna end on this because I said I won't be on here that long. Every time I come on, y'all, I'm gonna teach you something. My job is as a relationship coach and a communications expert. Every time I come on, bring your notes because I'm gonna teach you something. And some of you are in relationships with not just romantic, it could be non-romantic, whether you're a man or a woman. And you need to know, you know what, I want to do something different. I want to do something different. I want you to email me and let's talk for 15 minutes. And maybe I'm your coach. Maybe you can be in my academy. Maybe I can help you in some way. So if you're interested in maybe a 15-minute conversation so we can see if I can help you, I want you to do that. Reach out to me at Coach Ken Canion. Coach Ken Canion at gmail.com. And my team will get me the stuff you just say, Coach, I'd like a 15-minute call. I just want to change, Coach. I need to do something different. And insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And Coach, I want to do something different, y'all. And so I won't leave that. If that's you and you want to reach out at Coach Ken Canion at gmail.com. Tell me what it is. And so y'all, my team just implemented something new. I got to tell y'all what it is. So if you go to my link tree, there is a new thing I have called Buy Me a Coffee. I love coffee, y'all. Buy Me a Coffee. Well, my team put it up and they said you can, if you like this live, you can donate, money or give me a gift so I can buy coffee. But so if you go to my link tree, you can buy me a coffee. You can donate money, $5, $10, $25, $100. If I have offered, and I feel uncomfortable saying this, but my team said I better do it because a lot of people have wanted to. And if you want to buy me a coffee and you want to donate to that, go over to my link tree in my bio and click on Buy Me a Coffee, and you can donate money to get me coffee because I love coffee and I can't be drinking too much of it. But anyway, y'all, that is my time. I appreciate that. And if you want change, if you really want change, though, reach out to me at Coach Ken Canion at gmail.com. It ain't gonna cost you nothing to hop on. I'll look at your schedule. I got a little time because we through filming for now. Got a little time. And so maybe we hop on for 15 minutes and let's see if we're fit. All right, y'all. That'll be good. Peace.